No, hang on. Let me answer.
I'm quoting your words. You put them on an island off Scotland with minimal food and let the midges do the rest.
Before you jump in like Rumpelstiltskin, let me answer. So,
one MP walks into a studio, fresh off a police investigation that collapsed. No charges, no evidence he was ever shown, and a national broadcaster ready to put every accusation to him anyway. Rupert Lowe doesn't flinch. He names the party he says tried to destroy him. He puts the immigration argument most politicians only whisper. Emily pushes back hard. Watch how often she has to change the subject. This is one of the most combative sit-downs of the year. Let's get into it.
Well, I'm still not quite clear what I was accused of, because extraordinarily in Britain today people can make false statements about each other, and the police wouldn't show my lawyers the actual statements that made some allegations. So I'm not quite clear entirely what they were. I think the whole process is flawed. I'm going to raise it in Parliament. Am I any different from the way I was before? Yes and no, because I didn't do anything. So I've been in my life through a great number of rough and tumbles, including libel trials. I've had my phones hacked by the British media, for which I was compensated when I was chairman of Southampton. So it's all part of life's rich tapestry, but I don't like what's happened. I think it's sinister, and I think it's not, in my view, the way in which British law should operate. We're all supposed to be innocent till we're proven guilty, and for a 67-year-old pensioner with a completely clean criminal record to be treated as if I was guilty till proven innocent, I think that's a reversal of the way in which...
Start with what just happened there. A sitting MP was investigated, and his own lawyers were never shown the statements. He can't tell you what he was accused of. Emily's first instinct is to ask how he feels about it. Lowe answers with the principle instead. Innocent until proven guilty. Not the other way round. 67 years old, clean record, treated as guilty first. Watch what he does with that next.
The system should work, quite apart from the fact the police leaked my full name, and they then leaked the fact that they were passing the file to the CPS, which they shouldn't do. You should not have any form of publicity ahead of a decision to charge or not. So there's been lots of breaches. I think lawfare has been used, and I'm concerned about how many other people are suffering from the same thing. And I think in a country where we are packed with illegal migrants who shouldn't be here and are allowed to be here and are breaking the law technically by being here, to then exercise lawfare on the basis of false witness statements against honest tax-paying citizens is frankly disgusting. So I'm going to raise it in Parliament. I'm going to ensure that we get to the bottom of how this is allowed to happen. And I think the Met Police need to be held to account for the way in which they behaved.
Will you take action against the police?
I'll see.
For the leaking?
Possibly.
But I guess it did work in the sense that the charges haven't been pressed. You're not languishing in jail.
It took an awfully long time, Emily, and the process almost is part of the punishment. So
you feel like you're guilty even if you haven't been found?
Well, you have to sit there like a lemon waiting for... And the police did their work quite quickly, and we then had to wait for the CPS, because as an MP, apparently as a high-profile person, your file is always, I think, I understand, passed to the, and again, I've not done this before, so it's all new, but I understand it's passed to the CPS just to make sure there's no issue that they're concerned about. So look, I mean, there were witness statements that conflicted each other. There were... I didn't see the accusations that were made against me. The police, in my view, wrongly should have shown us what the charges were, and we could have then effectively dealt with answering them. But as it was, they wouldn't show us. I just had to no comment to everything.
Two things landed there. The Met leaked his name. Then they leaked that the file had gone to the CPS, both before any charging decision. Emily's answer is that the system worked because nobody charged him. Lowe's reply is the line of the whole opening. The process is the punishment. He sat there saying no comment for months. They wouldn't tell him what the charge actually was. That isn't a system working properly.
So your words, then, a sinister attempt to weaponise the criminal justice system. Who was making that sinister attempt? How are they weaponising the justice system?
Well, if you look at the chain of events, and I think, this is an interesting situation because everybody in Parliament knew it was complete rubbish. I mean, even Emily, not Emily, even if Daisy Cooper, she came and threw her arms around. I mean, now Daisy and I are politically very different. MP. But I think Parliament could pretty much universally see that this was an attempted political assassination.
On the part of who?
It was by reform of me, my colleagues. These are my colleagues, Emily. They're people I'd worked with very closely. You know, I'd fought.
You say reform, not Nigel Farage. You think it was a party thing?
I think Nigel knew about it. In my view, I think it'd be difficult not to. You wouldn't be acting as a leader if you didn't. I mean, after I was one of 5 MPs, I was driving quite a lot of support for reform. So I think if you look at the accusations of suffering from early onset dementia, that's pretty vile. If I did have early onset dementia, which I can assure everybody I don't, the last thing you should be doing is accusing somebody of suffering from an illness which is extremely serious. So that was vile, but that all played to the business of supposed bullying, threats, and it was an attempt to undermine my credibility.
He just said it out loud. He believes his own party tried to politically assassinate him. Not a metaphor he backs away from either. Parliament could see it was rubbish, and a Lib Dem MP put her arms around him. Then came the detail that should stop you. They briefed that he had early onset dementia. He's been answering sharply for 40 minutes here. Judge that claim for yourself.
So when I run businesses, I hire people more able than me, and I devolve power. You actually achieve things by empowering other people. You don't achieve things by aggregating power. And I think from my knowledge of Nigel now, quite apart from the fact that if they'd been successful in their attempt, I could have ended up in prison as an innocent man. So I'm not going to forget that. But what Nigel's running, in my view now, and it's become clear to me, and I helped him as much as anybody, and I admire some of the things he's good at. But I'll tell you something, he's not fit to be Prime Minister. He's running a cult. He's surrounded by lightweight people whose idea of policy is to wander down to the Marquis of Granby and have a pint and then come up with some sort of press conference the following day. Well, that's not how it works, Emily. And we need a professional party.
There it is. Not fit to be Prime Minister. Running a cult. Surrounded by lightweights whose policy is a pint down the market. And Lowe backs it with a pattern. Stephen Wolfe, Ben Habib, Robert Kilroy Silk. Every one of them pushed out of the same orbit. That's the charge Emily has to answer now. Watch which word she reaches for instead.
And you think Nigel Farage wanted you locked up for being his political opponent?
I think they wanted to take me out of the political equation, as they did to Stephen Wolfe, as they did to Ben Habib, as they did to Kilroy Silk. It's not new. This has happened a lot. And Nigel...
But to say not just your political future, but your liberty at risk, this sounds like Erdogan of Turkey.
I could have ended up in prison.
So you think he wanted you in prison to stop you getting in his way?
I think the whole script was that I was ultimately slightly deranged. I was guilty of bullying, which, by the way, we weren't. There is no parliamentary investigation ongoing about that at the moment, and that is a clean-cut case.
And what does that say about Nigel Farage, then?
Honestly, it tells me he is not fit ever to have the power of the British state behind him, with the ability to treat people who he doesn't like badly. I don't think it plays well to that playbook, so...
Erdogan. That's the comparison she goes to. A man says a party machine tried to have him arrested, and the response is to make him sound unhinged. He doesn't take the bait. He simply repeats the facts. No charges, no investigation, a file that went nowhere. Then he turns it into a principle about state power. That's the strongest 30 seconds of the first act.
My KC report, my Blackstone Chambers KC report, which completely eviscerates the process that they followed.
Okay. Thank you.
Have you read that?
No.
Emily, can you read it? Before you start asking me questions about it, please read that.
Okay. So,
and Jacqueline Perry-Levine is not an employment barrister or KC. She is a commercial disputes, an insurance expert. She issued her report.
You don't want me to put this...
She issued a report before it was complete.
Okay.
So look...
Okay, I'm going to put this...
This is rank amateur behaviour.
The barrister that was hired to conduct the investigation found there was credible claims of bullying from yourself and the team, 2 women who worked for you.
In a report that was issued before it was complete.
The women only lodged complaints once they were facing accusations.
In a report that was issued before it was complete. So, and I spent 15...
You deny all the bullying?
There was no bullying.
Right.
There was never a complaint of bullying against me, ever. And the complaints came after employment processes. They were vexatious complaints, okay?
Well, there were complaints against you because on February the 27th of this year, both women emailed Zia Youssef, Reform's chairman, detailing their complaints of harassment and bullying against you and the team, requesting action be taken.
Watch that exchange one more time. He asks whether she's read the KC report from Blackstone Chambers. The answer comes back no. She's putting an investigator's findings to him, and she hasn't read the document that dismantles them. Look at who wrote that report. A commercial insurance barrister filing before it was finished. Then he lays out a timeline. Daily Mail interview on the 25th. Word reaches the party on the 26th. Complaints land on the 27th.
When Elon Musk, I think it was around the 5th of January, suggested that you would make a better leader.
He didn't actually. He didn't say that quite right. Emily, you use a very broad brush of term. No, what happened is he actually made a statement that he didn't think Nigel Farage should be leader of Reform, right? Which I now agree with. So I didn't at the time because I was working to drive Reform support along with my fellow four other MPs. He then, one of my supporters, and my social media, as you've probably seen, has grown quite strongly. In fact, it's arguably more powerful than Nigel's now. Even though he's got more followers than me, we create more content, and we I think page impressions wise, we're about 8 times more powerful.
Is that all you?
Eight times more. It's me and my team.
Yeah.
It's an amalgam of, if you like, what we all think and what we all believe, and how we present it to people. Yeah. So one of my followers went back to Elon Musk when he said this, and he said, "Do you think Rupert Lowe should be leading Reform?" And the answer from Elon Musk was not that I should be, because I don't know Elon Musk quite correctly. What he said is, "I don't know Rupert Lowe, but I like what he says on Twitter." That's what he said. So when you ask me these broad brush questions, you need to get them right. That's what he said. He did not say I should be.
Have you ever?
She opens with Elon Musk saying Lowe should lead Reform. Musk never actually said that. What he said was that Farage shouldn't lead it, and separately, that he likes what Lowe posts. Lowe corrects it on the spot, without notes. Then comes the line that sums up the hour. Ask the broad brush questions if you want, but get them right. Notice she moves on immediately after that.
Spoken to Elon Musk?
I have communicated with him on Twitter. I have not met him. I have not personally spoken to him over the phone.
He's never offered you or your campaign money?
He's never done so, but I know he supports my view on the Pakistani rape gangs, which, as you know, I've raised in Parliament. I've given speeches, and now lots of people are talking about it in Parliament. So we've moved the Overton window there. We've moved the Overton window on immigration. We've even got Keir Starmer talking about too much immigration, which, frankly, you need to be a half-wit not to realise that we've got too much immigration. But most of the people in Parliament are half-wits, and they don't seem to want to address things that are of great relevance to the British people.
He's not softening it either. Musk hasn't given him money. Musk agrees with him on the rape gang inquiry. And on immigration, the Overton window has moved a long way. Even the Prime Minister now says the numbers are too high. Lowe puts it far more bluntly. You'd have to be a half-wit not to see it. Keep that sentence in your head, because the last third of this interview comes back to it.
But what I'm telling you is, British people now want change. Yeah. They want a different option.
They don't
want politically correct numpties representing them in Parliament. Okay. They don't want people who are virtue signalling do-gooders. They don't want people who've never had business experience. They don't want people who basically don't understand which way is up. So I think everybody now wants some common sense back in their life.
I want to talk about grooming gangs. You've launched your own inquiry. Alexis J, who, as you know, spent 7 years on a child abuse probe, says she's very unhappy with the politicisation of child sexual exploitation done, in her words, a very uninformed way. She's talking about you.
Well, she's welcome to her own opinion, as is everybody. I believe in a Britain where everybody should be able to express exactly what they want to.
Why is it funny
without any? I don't have any problem. I said she's welcome to her own opinion.
But why is it funny?
But it's not funny. I mean, my driver for the rape gang inquiry is that, having looked into it, and it's something which I think a lot of people in this country probably were blissfully unaware of.
No, I don't think they were.
So, that's your opinion. But I have picked up the mantle, and as you know, I don't call them grooming gangs. I call it Pakistani rape gangs, because 95% of these people are Pakistanis, and very often from a particular part of Pakistan.
Skip past 20 minutes of party talk. She brings a quote from Alexis J. J accuses him of politicizing child sexual exploitation. He doesn't blink at it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion, he says. His driver is uncovering the facts. Then he uses his own label for it and puts a number on it. She says, that's absolutely not true. Watch the next 90 seconds carefully.
No, I'm going to tell you this.
Let's park that.
224 white grooming gang suspects were found compared to 22 Pakistani suspects. Why do you only talk about the Pakistani grooming gangs? That's police statistics from the Times.
I've now got on my...
police statistics from the Times.
If you look at my rape gang inquiry, which you asked me about...
no, I didn't. I asked you why you're insisting on politicising child exploitation.
20,000 people have donated about £620,000 now. That shows you the depth of feeling and concern amongst British people.
Doesn't it show you should be ashamed that you are making money off a re-exploitation
I'm not. I've given money.
I've given
money. I'm not making money. I've given money to it. I will make absolutely less than zero. I've given a substantial sum to it, as have other people who care.
Why are you doing this? Why are you just trying to talk about Pakistani grooming gangs when there are 4 times... 8 times and 10 times as many white grooming gang suspects?
Do you not think, Emily, there's an issue with Pakistani Muslims raping working-class white underage girls? Do you not think there's an issue there?
I think there is an appalling issue with grooming when it hits any community and any age. We only ever hear you talk about Pakistani perpetrators.
Are you telling me there's no issue?
I'm telling you that you are focusing on Pakistani grooming gangs because probably you're racist and you don't believe that there are white perpetrators of the same crime.
Count what she does there. She quotes one set of police figures, then tells him he's monetizing child exploitation. He answers with the crowdfunder numbers. 20,000 donors, £620,000. He says he has given money to it himself. Then she calls him racist on live television. That's not a question about statistics anymore. That's the argument being shut down. His answer to that is coming next.
I am concentrating on it because it's a blot on our national history.
Isn't any grooming a blot on our history? It has not been
properly dealt with.
Isn't any grooming a blot on our history? Why don't you talk about anyone else?
My grooming gang inquiry, I have a victim who's working with us. I have a number of people who've been directly involved, and it's underway. And if you're suggesting I'm going to make any money out of it, that is completely wrong. I've given money to it, and I intend, because I believe there should be a statutory inquiry, because that's far more powerful. The government should have a statutory inquiry, and I'm going to do everything I can to ensure I shame the government into having one. The Muslim bloc vote, which in my view I will ban, if we ever get near power, I will ban postal voting. Hang on, now I've got to finish this. You keep trying to flip over it, and I'm not going to have you. You're not going to do it.
No, I'm going to put some of your words back to you.
No, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question because this is a huge issue. It happened largely in labour wards. I think the police are very often to blame because I think they haven't dealt with it properly. I think some of the social services are to blame. They haven't dealt with it properly. Emily, this goes to the root of what I call woke.
He doesn't take the racist charge and run. He answers it head on. A victim is working with his inquiry. He wants a statutory inquiry with real powers. He wants the government shamed into calling one. Then he refuses to be talked over. You keep trying to flip over it, he tells her. Whatever you make of his politics, he came to answer the questions, not manage them.
I am perfectly entitled to have a crowdfunder, as an MP, to out something that I think needs outing.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying there aren't other things that need outing as well, but I think this is a particularly vile blot on Britain's history.
Yes.
You can throw as much liberal cant as you want at me, but I am not going to back down, and it's perfectly within my right. And if you can't see the fact that 20,000 people have put their trust in me, I feel incredibly humbled by that. They have contributed because they know there's an issue here. The state has not...
Throw as much liberal cant as you want at me. I'm not going to back down. That's the sharpest line of the hour, and it lands because he answers the actual question. All grooming is bad. All rape is bad. All mistreatment of children is bad. He said it plainly when it was finally asked plainly. Now notice what she does with that answer. She moves straight on to immigration.
Do you believe there are too many Muslims in this country? Is that where you stand?
I believe there are too many illegal migrants in this country.
Do you believe there are too many Muslims in this country?
So I have said, and I'm on record, and I'll say it to you clearly, I would detain and deport all people arriving here illegally. The basis of a sovereign nation is to defend...
That's not the question I asked. Do you believe there are too many Muslims?
You can say
yes or no. Just say yes or no.
I am intent on detaining and deporting all illegal migrants. I am intent on deporting all people living here illegally. I am intent on detaining all criminals, foreign criminals, in our prisons straight away.
Yeah.
I am also intent on deporting those people who knew that rape was happening within their family and didn't report it.
3 times she asks the same question. 3 times he answers on his actual position. Too many illegal migrants. Detain and deport everyone arriving illegally. Deport foreign criminals sitting in British prisons. She wants a yes or a no. He keeps it on immigration status and the law. That's not a dodge. That's refusing the frame she built for him.
You've talked about how you'd like to see illegal migrants put on an island off Scotland with minimal food, your words, and let the midges do the rest.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
So do you advocate pain and suffering for anyone who washes up here?
I advocate detaining and deporting. But if because of the Human Rights Act, which, as you know, beds the ECHR
let the midges do the
within
rest.
it, embeds the ECHR within it. If our arguably deficient legal system doesn't allow us to act as a proper sovereign nation, no, hang on, let me answer.
I'm quoting your words. You put them on an island off Scotland with minimal food and let the midges do the rest.
Before you jump in like Rumpelstiltskin, let me answer. So
before you jump in like Rumpelstiltskin, let me answer. He had been interrupted 4 times in 90 seconds. When he finally gets the floor, the answer is a policy, not a punchline. Repeal the Human Rights Act. Deport immediately. Stop paying France 500 million a year. You can disagree with every word of that. You cannot say he refused to spell it out.
You don't have illegal migrants living next to you, Emily, because you live in a part of the country that probably doesn't have them.
And if you did, you would want them to starve to death.
So you are part of this liberal elite who basically says, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so I'm sorry, what I meant was, and I mean it, is if our legal system doesn't allow us to detain and deport, we should set up a tented camp on an island. We should not treat them unfairly, but we should equally not put them at the top of waiting lists for dental treatment, for medical treatment. We should not give them spending money. We should not effectively treat them as if they have been taxpayers for years. They haven't been. They are illegal migrants. And what's happened is our state no longer puts the honest, decent, tax-paying British citizen at the top of the agenda. They have been relegated to a second-class citizen, and we are bringing people in here who've contributed nothing, who have come in here illegally, and most of them have been allowed to stay for the simple reason that we are signed up to all these nonsensical international treaties that are meaningless. And why do you think people voted to leave the European Union, Emily? Why do you think they did? Because they want their country back. They want their borders back. They want sanity back. So I'm sorry, yes, if they want to come here, and if you can't deport them, put them on an island until they ask to go home.
He turns it round on her there. You don't live near this, he says, so it costs you nothing to be generous. Then comes the actual proposal. A tented camp, no spending money, no priority on the NHS waiting lists, and a link straight back to Brexit. People voted to leave because they wanted their borders back. 1 clip left, and it's his closing argument.
And let the midges.
And who else does that? Australia do that, don't they?
Rupert,
have you heard of Nauru Island in Australia? Does Australia now have a problem with illegal immigration? No. It used to, doesn't now. So I'm afraid sometimes you have to be hard to be kind. And these people will learn very quickly, don't come to the UK. It is not just going to hand out a load of candy to you and let you take priority over the people who've lived here all their lives. British people don't want that. And do you think we've had too much illegal and legal migration? You probably don't.
And let the midges do the rest.
Do you think we've had too much legal and illegal immigration?
37 minutes, and Rupert Lowe never asked to change the subject. He was the one under investigation, and he came in with a timeline and a list of names. Every hard question got an answer. Even the ones designed to end a career, the pushback was constant. The interruptions were constant. He didn't fold on a single position. Whatever you think of the island plan, this is what refusing to be managed looks like. Do you think Lowe answered the questions honestly, or was Emily right to keep pressing him? Drop your thoughts in the comments.